But you know what's funny? Drinking root beer and jerky and like eating jerky kind of reminds me of the time when I watched Wolf's Rain. That's what I did.
I never saw Wolf's Rain.
Oh, it's a really good show. But I just like because my uncle for Christmas he got me black pepper jerky and teriyaki jerky. And I remember just eating through those two flavors for Wolf's Rain. So instead, I thought for the occasion I'd get just hickory smoked, just to kind of change it up. So, anyways, so yeah, Grave of the Fireflies.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
God damn it! Remember when you had the pine cone soda?
Yeah, by call.
Anyway,
That's we can. I mean, I can probably get that next time because there's a Russian store right up. If you keep going straight on Skiff,
yeah.
and you go up that hill where the Toys R Us used to be, there's like a little Russian store called Lena's. And
Really?
You can just go get like Russian like foods.
Oh, that's
and drinks.
awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's very Russian too. Like it's very authentic. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are they gonna like I don't know shoot me or kill
No,
me?
no.
Are
They're
there
pretty,
bears involved?
No, they're pretty chill. It's just like any other convenience store in Russia, with
If
bears.
I-
No.
If I buy, is it a communist based thing? So like, if I buy something, do I have to give it to everybody? Is that how this works?
You can pretend like that's gonna happen, and then they're just gonna look at you like, do you live in America? Like,
No, I'm
They
expecting that I'm going to be called a capitalist pig.
I like to
And they're
think
gonna-
I like to think that they bought like a piece of land that doesn't belong to America, and it's just like that's the only place that has communism in America.
Yeah, it's like a Russian embassy.
Yeah, it's like it's an embassy.
That's where they hacked the DNC from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Anyway, Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, so I think I was confused with whether I liked or didn't like this movie. I think it had elements to it that could make it interesting, but I guess they didn't reveal to me as effectively as it kind of did to most of the audience. Because after the movie, because I'm not gonna like pretend like I know I'm some kind of like critic, like we're just kind of half-assing this, and and I think, and so I wanted to look at some reviews, and I looked at some some thumbnails of videos, and generally you see like the typical like it's either Roger Ebert or it's like a bunch of like reaction channels who just like are crying in the thumbnail, and it's like I can't believe it, and and I'm just like like Goose and I mean I felt emotional, but it wasn't my peak emotion. Like it was like just the surface, and so for me like it was strange for us because we didn't cry for the movie, but it's not like we were trying to not cry. There was just something that was not working for us.
Yeah, I didn't have I didn't really come close, and I was sort of like, because okay, that was my first time seeing the movie. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any part of this movie before, so like I was
Same.
I was expecting something completely different on many levels. So I think like from what I knew about it, I knew that it was a war movie. I assumed it was a war movie, but it really wasn't. So this first thing out of the gate that was like a little bit, oh wow, okay. But the other thing is that like I really expected the way that the movie progressed, I don't think was geared to make you start bawling your eyes out, because it's a decline. So like everything that without giving like, because we're gonna discuss this further in depth, so I don't want to like just completely like I don't want to cut you off.
But they do kind of ruin it for you in the beginning, like, oh, they're dead. And it's just like, oh.
Well, it didn't ruin it for me, because I assumed everybody was going to die.
Well, I mean, I knew
it would have ruined it for a new viewer.
I mean, it's like, why else would everybody be sad watching this movie? But it's like, but I didn't think they would just go right from the get-go oh, we're dead. I don't know. Like I feel like that kind of took some of
I think,
the suspense out of it.
I guess, but I think that actually eased a lot of the tension. Like, okay, I really don't think it was supposed to make you cry. I think it's supposed to. The whole point of the movie is that there's no climactic death.
Yeah.
Nobody dies in a. Well, I shouldn't say that. Like, because like the mom in the beginning was sort of, wow.
Yeah.
But like nobody, for the most part, people die off screen, or like when the little sister dies, she just falls asleep, and then he says she never woke up. There was never any grotesque,
Yeah.
like she was murdered. She didn't die in like any sort of climactic way. She just slipped away, and I think the whole point of the movie was that it's not about the destination of them being dead. It's about this really slow, painful decline.
Yeah.
And so like that was the so for me, them showing them like as dead in the beginning, it didn't really ruin anything for me. I thought it would. I thought like, oh wow, fuck you guys, you spoiled it. But like at the same time, I don't think that was the point.
Yeah.
I think the point wasn't to show them dying. The point was to show how their life declined steadily.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
So you this kind of reminded me of something. Oh yeah, I think like I think from what I understand in Japanese culture, I think they're a little more comfortable with like integrating death in their just in in their culture, because
Yeah.
that's more of a celebrated kind of and kind of openly aware idea, rather than kind of the denial that we have here. And like
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
yeah, and it's
How we have like these, like the idea of like the action movie is the most popular type of movie in the West in general, and it's littered with death.
yeah.
But they don't show it, so there's a lot of collateral death, or they have the super climactic death where it's like only the villain dies.
Yeah.
And it's like the second you see a movie in the West that actually has a main character die, or who has like, I don't know, any character, fuck it. Like it could be any important character that we feel wasn't supposed to die. People get pissed.
Yeah.
It's not something that's enjoyed. It's not something that's like, oh wow, they really took a risk with that. No, like people are mad about it.
Yeah, and like
Fuck you.
And like I think Japan has like they have a lot more lore when it comes to spirits, and kind of integrating these like little folk stories, and with whether it's for children or kind of just legends. And the point I was trying to bring was that I saw a lot of like the Fireflies kind of there was this like motif of like this very spiritual kind of like, because it's a World War II setting. There's a lot of death. It kind of had this like this atmosphere that death is all around, even where people live. And the Fireflies, I don't know if that's true, but they had this kind of vibe, like they were like the spirits that kind of were floating around. And maybe that's in some kind of Japanese lore. I don't know. Confirm it for us. But like,
I don't know. But it definitely had that presentation.
yeah,
in the
and
movie.
especially when like at the very beginning when they're walking together as spirits, there are fireflies around them, and it's like whether those are the fireflies that they buried or that's just a general like motif. I don't know, but it did kind of it brought this very kind of soothing feeling, like as if they kind of departed peacefully despite
Yeah.
all the painful the painful slow deaths. But yeah, so the I think I could relate to this movie. It's funny, like I really I feel like because I have a sister, and you have a sister too,
Yeah.
a younger sister, and it's like
I'm just a cold, unfeeling machine.
no, but it's like I think like I could definitely feel that that need to protect a young child, or just an innocent kind of like
Yeah.
figure like this kind, and even though I don't think it presented the tragedy well, I could still like I could kind of like what do you call it? I could as if outside of the movie, I could almost like reanalyze that in another thing. Like, oh, I totally understand like that kind of pain.
Yeah.
That's a very I don't know. It's just a very uh, it's a very deep pain. I don't know. Just like just it's not enough that it's a person that you care about, but it's an innocent child who didn't have enough experience in the world, who didn't have
Yeah.
enough kind of like evil within herself. I mean, she was selfish, but she didn't like she. You could definitely sense that like it was that life was taken away from her,
Yeah.
and 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 as a brother, that must be very, the tumultuous. I guess like it's
Traumatic.
yeah, it's very traumatic,
Well,
and I think there's always been something more like definitive about a child's death rather than an adult's death. There's always something more sympathetically tragic, like and so like and I found it interesting. I read in some of the reviews. Well, apparently that doctor in the movie, like he wasn't bullshitting him. He wasn't just like giving him a lazy diagnosis. Like she actually was suffering from malnutrition.
that happens to you?
Yeah, I
Really?
guess I don't know, but
Oh
like
shit. Well, that's actually interesting because like in the movie there was just for all you viewers out there was she started getting this rash all over her body. And see, I assumed that was because they were living in a fucking mud hut. But I guess no, that's just something that happens when you don't eat. I assumed it was just because they're living in actual dirt. That
well,
was
apparently
something.
apparently according to both criticisms and the plot and the author himself of the short story, they because this story is actually based on real events. Not
Oh
ma-
yeah,
Yeah, like
that was
maybe
interesting too.
yeah, like it's not exactly a historical document, but like he took relative events like
Yeah,
he
it's
said
historical fiction, so
yeah.
it's something that happened where you had
And
just because of like the attacks. So it's a common thing where like fathers aren't present during a war, and when you attack, you know, homeland, all that are there are women and children, really.
yeah.
So you're bound to have a lot of orphans, and certainly more than can be taken care of. And so it leads to a very sad. I thought it was going to go, to be honest, I thought it was going to talk about the atomic bombs. It
Yeah,
didn't.
same. I thought it was going to be too, but I think maybe they thought that was kind of cliche.
I
Like,
guess. But see, the thing that was odd to me is that so they have, at the end, you have the, oh, Japan surrendered. And he's like, what? No, no way Japan surrendered. It's the greatest, whatever. He has his own thing. And then, like, they didn't even mention the bombs. It's not like there were pussies and they surrendered. Like, dude, we killed a lot of people there. Like, that was
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Like, what other option do they really have? We had a death bomb, like just a fucking ridiculously powerful weapon.
yeah,
So I feel like they didn't mention that, but also, I also feel like and it's not something I would use to criticize the movie. The movie wasn't about the war. The war was just a backdrop. The movie was about the
That's an
brother
interesting.
and the sister and the dynamic.
It's
that
an
takes
interesting
place
thing
there.
we've been running into for Ghibli movies. Like the war is kind of the backdrop rather than the actual.
Yeah, and what's interesting
piece.
is that this movie is so odd in the
Yeah.
Ghibli like canon. Like if you look at all the movies that they've made, this movie sticks out like a sore fucking thumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like it's the only movie that really delves into like this really dark territory. Like I mean, movies like Mononoke will get dark,
yeah.
but it's not about that. The whole movie isn't like that. It's also one of the only Ghibli movies that doesn't have some kind of like
No, yeah,
mystical,
yeah.
fantastical thing about it.
Yeah.
Which is why, and I
Which
certainly,
I think makes it even more grim in some instances.
Yeah, it's just here's my general. Okay, I would never say I don't think this movie is a bad movie, but I didn't like it that much
Yeah.
because to me it hits all the talking points, if you will, of like a typical just tragedy. I wouldn't even say a war. I wouldn't say a war story because it's really not a war story. It's just a typical sad movie, and That's not to say that sad movies aren't good movies. They are. I just don't, or they can be, I should say. I just don't really. To me, I don't see the. I don't. I would never watch this movie again, ever.
Hmm.
It had no. It like
I feel you.
the
Yeah.
animation was obvious. It was Ghibli. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Everything looked awesome. That's the only reason to that I would come back to this, I guess. But I don't think I would. It was just. It was very. And it's not because it's sad, because that's something that I kind of want to dispel. Like, it's not because it made
Yeah.
me cry and I'm being a bitch. It's just that, like, to me, it didn't have all that much to say.
Yeah.
It was telling a story that already existed. It wasn't written by Ghibli. It didn't, come. And I don't know. You were the one who looked this up, right? So you're the
Yeah,
one who
so-
said it was based on the thing. I don't know if
So-
they took
so,
any
yeah.
liberties with it, but
Here's what I'll say. So it was made by this guy. I think his name is Nosaka, and Nosaka or something. And in his time, when he was a teenager during World War II, he had two sisters that had suffered malnutrition, and his stepfather died as a soldier, and I don't know what happened to his mother, but he always felt guilty about his sisters because he felt that he felt, I think, if I could probably look it up quick, but I think he felt that he was selfish, and he kind of gorged the food more than giving what he should have to the sisters. And when they died, he always felt like he should have died. And then over time, he made a short story writing about these events kind of as a way to recognize the guilt. And then Ghibli was like, "Why don't we make a movie? What do you think, Nausicaa?" And he's like, "Yeah." And apparently, the death scene of the sister Setsuko,
uh-huh.
he says the way it's depicted in the movie is almost like perfect. Like, he says it was almost the way he wanted it to be depicted from the short story. The way it's kind of very there's like false hope, and then all of a sudden there's just a very kind of chopped off sudden like death. And
Yeah. Because actual deaths aren't climactic.
no, yeah. No, yeah, like I think that's, and he said that Seta at the very beginning, the way he is dead, he kind of puts himself within Seta. Like, he wished that he had died back then to kind of make up for the sorry, I heard its stomach growl, and I
Right.
kind of goofed there.
My stomach was
But
calling out for help.
the stomach just was like, oh,
Oh,
this is sad. But
terrible.
but he wished that he was in Seta's shoes and kind of died back then, kind of to make up for the sins of his sister's deaths. But and apparently there was an aunt that, like, it didn't specify in the Wikipedia article, but I've read some comments from like fans of both the short story and the movie who have claimed that he had an aunt that he also hated and never forgave her. And it seems like a lot of it seems like a very personal story. Like, it's not just like it's not entirely made up fiction. It seems to be based off of many personal events.
Yeah.
And
Which is part of why
Yeah.
my opinion is what it is. Like, I'm used to, like I said, like the fantastical stories from Ghibli.
it's like an anecdote. The movie's like an anecdote, kind
Yeah.
of. It's like a
Yeah, it's meant
Yeah.
to be. It's meant to be realistic, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. That's what kind of. That's why I'm kind of lukewarm on it. Where I'm like, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's real.
And actually, some other points about the movie. I've seen a lot of criticisms and a lot of passages like saying like this is a movie about how independence can be a very dangerous tool in some instances, where he's too young. He's a very young high schooler, and instead of kind of sucking up his own pride to kind of go through his aunt's annoyance, like his aunt's kind of like grievances, like instead of just taking the blows from his aunt and having both of them survive, he kind of decided to be independent basic, and I think that kind of springs from a lot of his father's kind of uh, uh, honor, maybe, like, or just a lot. I think he gets this like soldier kind of like inspiration, like he's influenced by his father to be independent because his father's like this
Yeah,
top
well, and
notch
well, yeah, it's
soldier.
explained
And
that his father is he an admiral or a captain, or he's like a high-ranking member of the
I just,
military.
I just know that
He's not a grunt.
all
I
I
know
know is
that.
he's a soldier, and he respects him for doing that, and
Yeah,
he wants to be like his dad. Therefore, he's becoming too independent too early. He doesn't understand enough by himself to survive, and in the same time, his own naivete, where he in the movie you do notice, like, he eats the rice as he gets into the house with that, instead of just packing it up and getting back to Setsuko,
yeah.
like he or just having bigger portions of meals more than the sister, and like um and I don't think he intentionally like wanted her to starve. I think he was just very, as a kid, a younger
He doesn't realize the
lad.
consequences of what he's doing,
Yeah,
and that's I
yeah.
think is the that's part of what makes it sad, is that like you can tell that he means well, but that he's just doesn't know.
He's not grown up enough to
Yeah,
understand.
exactly,
Yeah.
like you. And specifically what you were saying about the aunt, where it's like that inability to sort of make the decision to say like, yeah, okay, this sucks, but what
Yeah.
the fuck else am I gonna do?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like that sort of that's that's something you have when you get older. That's something that you learn. The idea of like making compromises and whatever, sort of dealing with the hand that you're dealt,
Yeah.
is something that you learn to do when you get older. Whereas like when you're a kid, you're like, ah, fuck it, I'll just live on my own. It's like
Yeah.
that's a it's like, hold up, dude.
Yeah, and it's like, and I think
Ugh.
in a sense it does make it a little more tragic, because it's not like he was being
No, he wasn't being
well,
selfish. He was,
it's like, it's not like he was being negligent and then he like reconsidered, like, oh my god, what have I done? I think it was kind of like surreptitious, like it kind of snuck up on him, and he's like, why is this happening? Like, my sister, and like, and I think that's very tragic. You feel as if you're surviving together, but it's only you who's surviving,
yeah.
and little does he know. Um, I think that would have been more effective if, like, I don't know. I mean, did it really sneak up on you? Because it didn't really, because like we saw the spots, like, and we kind of knew that
Yeah, well,
something
that
was
was
gonna happen. Like,
the movie was well made, and it knew how to hint at something. Like it didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like, oh, guess what? She's dying now. Like
yeah,
the signs were there. You saw her behavior changing. You saw that she had a lot less energy. She wasn't, she wasn't as happy as she was. Like there's a lot of things that when you think about it, you're like, ah, yeah, yeah, that's definitely something's wrong.
and yet she feigned a lot of like pain with happiness. Like she seems very happy, and she seemed to depend on her brother even in her darkest moments. And I think that's another step of tragedy, where it's like, it's not like he cursed his name in vain, and like now he's like gonna regret this the rest of it. Like, no, she like up until the very end, she was very innocent and very like forgiving. And I think
Yeah.
I think that's what he couldn't forgive himself for, was
Mm.
that he was causing so much
Yep.
of this destruction, and yet she wasn't aware of it. And
You
it's
know,
like,
it's like I don't know if you can relate to this, but like if somebody if you do something wrong and somebody like screams at you for it, you
yeah,
don't feel bad for doing something wrong.
yeah,
You don't really feel it
no,
because
because
like,
yeah,
oh fuck you, you were a dick.
yeah,
It's like somehow your brain is able to justify that, but if you do something wrong and then somebody just suffers because of it, you're like, oh my god.
and they're like accepting of it. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
worst. And
yeah,
so like I don't know, like growing up with a mom who's really good at guilt tripping, it was rough. Anyway, but
yeah,
so like I think that was part of, yeah, that definitely contributed to it because she didn't realize that it was something that he did.
no,
She
yeah.
didn't realize that like
She thought she was
he
like
was
sick.
taking
Yeah,
food. I don't even think she really realized that because she was hungry, that's why she was dying. I don't
Yeah.
think she realized she was dying at all. She was delirious in the last stages there.
She probably thought she was just like sick or something, like just like a flu, but like
Exactly.
but who knew that it was like this malnutrition?
I really thought for a second
Yeah.
though, when she was making like the like fake food out of like dirt and like
Yeah.
rocks. I was like, is that how they're gonna have her die?
I thought the twist was she was never eating real food to begin with, and she was just eating like dirt and rocks the entire movie. And I'm like, but like no, like that was just the last minute. But I don't know why it had this feeling like, oh, she hasn't been eating anything. Like, but no,
No.
that's not what was happening. I know that, but like that's what they made it seem like.
Also,
Like
their designs with the characters. So like, you don't really notice it with Seita because he's sort of skinny throughout the whole movie.
yeah,
But Setsuko starts off as like chubby, like how a little kid should be, and then she is like rail thin.
yeah, very
by the end. Like, it's
emaciated.
very yeah, and that's disturbing to see. Like it's wrong to see a kid like that.
Yeah.
There's something about your brain where you see a baby, it's supposed to be chubby. And
Yeah.
then you see a skinny baby, it's like, what is that? No, it looks like a bird now.
And I think that's where a lot of the maternal instincts kind of arise. I mean, I know we're not we're not mothers or
Well,
women,
yeah,
but like
well,
but
paternal instincts
yeah,
and
like,
maternal instincts are very similar.
yeah, like
So-
I think it's like there's this
I
very
don't have this urge to whip out my titties and like just
That's
"Here,
not
just
what I
come
mean.
here.
That's not what I mean. Like
I don't have that,
no,
but
I
no,
mean,
but it's
but
just
it's
a
like
protective instinct no matter what. You can't get
but
rid
it's
of
like
it.
I think what kind of got me was the memories after her death. Like they kind of do these flashbacks where she's very alone and she's kind of playing with herself as she's waiting for Seita to come back.
Yeah, that
and,
was
like-
bad because it was something that you didn't realize because the whole story is told from Seita's perspective.
Yeah.
So you see, whenever she's not on screen, you assume like I don't know, maybe she's sleeping. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Because you don't see it from her perspective, and then suddenly, she has that moment. It was like where you thought she was dead, basically.
Yeah.
Like she was passed out in the grass, and she says like, "Don't leave me again."
Yeah.
And you sort of have this like, oh shit, like I hadn't realized how long Seda would be gone for, and she was just there,
yeah.
awake, alone, and so like there's a lot of it that you know, I feel like it's good storytelling because they don't. That's something that does. It's supposed to surprise you. It's supposed to be like, oh shit, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Fuck, she's just been there.
Yeah, but there's something about that it's there's something about her just being a child. You know, she's playing around. You know, she's playing rock paper scissors in her reflection.
Yeah, that's right. That was
And, like,
adorable.
or like she's swinging on the. There's something very like timely about kids like on like a swing. I don't know what it is.
Timely.
Like I always feel like whenever you see like a kid like swinging on a swing, like
Yeah.
you see that as like a part of your like a childhood past that you'll never like receive again. You know, like
What
there's
are you
like
talking about? I go on swings all the time. I don't know what your life is.
no, what I mean is like there's like a nostalgia that it's that nostalgia feeling where it's like you
Yeah,
kind
I
of
guess.
you regret like but how that relates to this what I mean is like because of that nostalgia and there I feel like there's this pain that like that's never gonna come back that her like her sort of happiness her cuteness her innocence her like all that made her like a sweet girl like that will never arise again and I think that was
Yeah.
very I guess gravitous, gravituous. I don't know, like gravity,
Gratuitous.
just gravity.
It
But like
was
it,
very gravity.
but you
if
know,
I
like,
do say so myself.
but I don't know, like you know, like it's. I guess that's a very personal moment. It's hard to explain in broad terms, but like when you're raising a small baby and you're watching them grow and they're always having this smile and these chubby cheeks and you know they're always, you know, it's just sucks that like when you see that scene that those are just illusions. Those are just like the past and it's like and it felt like you wanted to reach back to bring it back but like they're gone and she kept disappearing and
I
like
didn't
I don't know
have
like
the. I see. Okay,
So,
this is the thing.
yeah.
Like even okay, neither of us cried, but you were more emotionally drawn into it than I was. I was
Yeah.
almost completely taken out of it by that point.
Well,
I don't know
like-
why either. It wasn't as though there was something that broke my immersion or anything like that. I just wasn't falling for the emotional trickery.
Well, the thing is, I didn't really like this movie either, but I think I agree with you that it was well done too. But it definitely drew me more emotionally than it did with you. But
Which I think
yeah.
says some very disturbing things about me.
No, because but like it only really gripped me until the end. Like throughout the entire movie, we were kind of looking at it very objectively and kind of very flatly.
The thing that
But
got me,
there was something about the memory scene that I could just implant within my own life, and I could just kind of there's some kind of personal work in my brain that just
well,
I don't know what it is.
so
but it's
okay,
like,
that the
there's
whole
some
scene.
I
with that-
guess in my personality, like I'm super protective of like kids, and I'm super like sympathetic of like things that happen to them, like whether it's like pain or sadness or whatever. So it's like for me, it's like whenever I see those kinds of things, it's like, oh my god, I like that really. Yeah, that gets to me. I don't know, like that. That's so. I feel like I could have done something, you know. Like I feel kind
See, I
of
don't get that.
guilty.
But that's the.
Yeah.
I hate kids. I hate kids, and this is not to say I love my little sister. But I cannot stand children. I think children are gross. They smell weird. They smell like cookies and ass. All right, I don't want it.
Oh, we're doing
They're-
some fat refund. Fat refund.
But like, it's the whole thing. It's just gross. I don't like kids. I think they're weird, and so like I don't have like I can definitely empathize with what's going on, but I don't have as deep of a connection with it as I think you did,
Yeah.
just because of that. But what was it? Oh, that whole scene with the memories though was incredibly well designed. So like just the sound and everything about it.
The
fit
music,
really well.
the music really
Yeah.
got me too. The way she sang, there was something kind of forlorn about it. That's
Yeah.
that's the word, forlorn. I think that really got me.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
I just like and so the whole scene like, and I feel like the movie. This is why like I can't like I didn't like the movie. I cannot shit on the movie. It was really well done. The only thing I will criticize is I think they leaned on the aunt too much.
Yeah.
And that's something that I often that's a criticism that I have with a lot of movies, because a lot of movies will fall into that where they have a trope character
Yeah.
because they need someone to move the plot forward. They need something to agitate what's going on. And so instead of doing something that would have made more sense, like say, you know, having just at least motivation come from multiple sources. So like, yeah, the aunt could be a part of it, but there's also, you know, some other thing that comes in that necessitates them to move. Like, let's say something that they could have done was have more family need to go to the house, running out of room. It would make you feel more empathetic towards the aunt because now there are more people coming in. She has to make food for more people. She has to do... It would make her a more empathetical character. It would make you hate her less. I feel like I didn't want to hate her. I didn't have any desire to, but the movie told me I needed to. And that's something I don't like because it's not subtle. The
Yeah.
movie is basically saying, well, hate her. Why? Well, because we need something to happen. Right now it's stable. And
I like to think this
you
is
can't
like,
have that in a movie.
I like to think this is like a broken couple that's like arguing after they just had sex.
Exactly.
It's just like
What?
you gotta
Nobody argues after they have sex.
No, but it's like they're really. It's like let's say their relationship's rocky and like they just finished their bedtime and it's just like, like we just gotta hate this. All right, like let's get past this. It's like why do I gotta hate this? Why do I gotta hate this? Why don't you get back? It's just like, because we just gotta get going.
Okay, you know. Yes, I
Just
agree that
imagine
it's
if-
petty argument, but like, what? Where did it come in the post-coital argument?
I don't know,
Arguments? I've never had one of those.
Because it's the way like it's just the way you said it. Like the directors are just these like really whiny
Just-
like pieces of shit.
Come on.
Like they're
Wow,
they're-
sexist.
Well, no, it's
Calling
like,
all women whiny pieces of shit.
well,
we-
I could have said
we
that
hear
for the
you.
man,
We
too.
hear you.
But I just mean like it's funny how like the directors are always like these like submissive
no.
like don't care about the relationship at all. They're just like hate it
Just
It's like,
because.
because.
So that took me out of it. I feel like that was something where I was like, I don't get this. I don't like where it's going. I don't feel like I on this. Okay, so I had the thing we mentioned it earlier about how, like, as you grow up, you realize that there's certain things you just have to deal with, certain people you have to put up with because you don't have another real option.
Or even just like things that you can't control just because
Exactly. So
you aren't able. You're not
my
what do you call it? You're just not trained enough to or experienced enough to handle it.
so like
Yeah.
the break in my immersion came from two fronts there. So it had Seita's sort of irresponsible decision to be like, oh well, well, if we can't live in this house, we could always just live in a dirt. Could always just live in mud.
Who knew
And
this
it's
is
like,
where Minecraft got
the
their inspiration
fuck?
from?
And so like I had that. That was a bad joke. Don't think my non-reaction was a tacit agreement with your decision to make that joke. It was not.
Why don't we just live in a dirt hut instead of a house?
Why don't we just live in the dirt? Dirt.
Fucking dirt.
That's ridiculous.
I only got
So, like-
dirt to eat.
That was so there was that, and then there's the fact that the aunt was being so comically mean.
Yeah,
It was just sort of like
I get the vibe that she's this like she's like a soldier's wife and she's all about honor and she's Japanese, so that like that
Oh, wow.
totally.
oh wow,
I mean, it's like even
you
if
had to play the race card. Anyway, sorry. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
I love this, but like I think another thing that the author kind of pointed out was this like because this actually ties into the aunt where it's like Japan was like really about hold on so the way the honor ties into the aunt is Japan in World War II had this like they had this notion that like if you surrender to the enemy then you kind of lost and you are the traitor yourself for giving up.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have to keep fighting. You have to keep
Until
fighting
you die. You
until
fight
you die.
to the death. Yeah.
And I think, actually, I think it's more applicable to Seita, but you can definitely see it in the aunt, where it's like, there you see this like really like honor kind of virtue signaling over and over again, but Seita really embodies that, where it's like if he gives up to the aunt and gives in, he feels like he would have lost himself, and so he becomes
you can tell it's
independent.
misplaced too.
Yeah.
So it's like
He even can't accept the fact that Japan surrendered to America. Like
Yeah.
he grew up on the idea. I'm sure whether it's from his dad or maybe just in
just in general,
Japan,
probably.
like
It's probably
yeah.
just Japanese culture.
So
at that time.
and that must have been very upsetting to accept defeat when you've been told this rhetoric your entire life. Oh well, defeat is what the traitor does or whatever. So
surrendering is what it
Yeah.
makes you a traitor, and then all of a sudden the most powerful guy who's been spitting out this bullshit forever just goes like, see this whole war? Yeah, I was just kidding. We're all good.
it was like a Sunday night. Come on, guys.
Just don't kill us all.
And then they did.
No, after they surrendered, we stopped.
I don't know.
I think.
No. I was thinking like just the Japanese public just kill their own emperor. all of a sudden.
Honestly,
It's
you
like-
know what? Japan,
it's like Mussolini's ass.
Japan, in many ways, I don't. It's hard to feel bad because like, about like Japan, what they did to Nanking, right?
Yeah, the rape of Nanking.
The rape. It's called the rape of Nanking.
Yeah.
It's just like holy shit. What? Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's like the whole thing is. It's fucked.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I'm glad that government got dismantled.
Yeah.
Thank God. However, I don't believe in God, but it's still like it's.
God's my next door
Thank
neighbor.
the endless abyss. But like,
Thank the nothing.
yeah, I don't even remember. I don't. Was I going anywhere with that?
Well, so the
I just
so
fucking
the,
lost my train of thought really hard.
so the aunt, so like she's like the soldier's wife, and she's like has to be tough and stubborn because otherwise she can't acknowledge herself as the soldier's wife. or she can't like acknowledge it, or else she won't be able to like she won't be recognized as this survivor of the war or whatever, this tough Japanese like resistor
Tough as
of
nails, Japanese lady.
yeah, she's like a resist the Americans, but like
Well,
but mostly it's like but she's like overdoing it to Seda. She's constantly like
I don't. I think it was just like it.
I mean like you get where she's coming from, but it does kind of have that movie trope where she's just kind of like it's really
Yeah,
just
she's
strong arming to change the plot.
like she's an insane bitch.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I get,
And I just my favorite part of the movie was just like, why don't you go to school? Say it burned down.
oh yeah, and Seda just has genuine answers like, my school burned down, and everyone died. Don't
like,
you remember?
And then she's like, why don't you go work? So did the steel mill. It burned down.
Every place is on fire right now.
Where do you work in school? Why now?
That was so funny too. That wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was. Just because, like, it's just so ridiculous.
And I love how she had to, like, suck that up for a minute. Like, she's like, well, fine then. And then she walked off.
Well, fine. Guess you have, Mr. Smarty, you haven't answered all my questions.
I guess,
like,
fuck you. Your parents died.
Yeah, that was one of the only things that got me, was right in the it starts hard.
Yeah.
Within the beginning, and it sort of sets a tone. Where it's like the mom doesn't just die. The mom dies a gruesome death. And like,
and you get to see her for a moment, like before that all happens. Like you kind of see her talking to Seda, and
yeah,
just to get that minor character development. But then she's gone.
Well, what I think is interesting is that you see, they show you enough of her so that you have something to compare the aunt to.
Yeah.
So that you can see, like, no, this isn't just how people were. The aunt is especially terrible. So you have a benchmark. Because, like, her and the aunt are the only two, like, maternal figures that you'll see in the movie. Yeah. Everybody else is either, everybody else is a man for the most part. It's just, like, those are the only two, like, women that you meet.
Yeah.
And so, like, those are your comparisons that you have. And so it sets the tone immediately by having her die. By having her burn alive.
Pretty subtle.
And she's all covered in the... Well, what was so horrible is, like... I don't know, have you ever seen Berserk?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, like, when Griffith is in the in his, like, he has, like, the torture helmet on and he's all covered in bandages? Yeah. That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God.
Were you just waiting for her to lift her hand and just strangle Seda?
I was waiting for her to rape Casca. Anyway, I'm making references to stuff.
Not Setsuko, but
but
what do you call it? You actually kind of reminded me of something.
Yeah.
It was about Seta. It was about him. It was about Seta.
Everything's about Seda with you.
Oh.
Why don't we talk about Setsuko? Marty, where's Setsuko?
Don't.
She's dead.
Stop it.
What do you mean she's dead?
Wouldn't it be funny if they showed the aunt, like, after the sister died? Like, where's your sister? She died.
And then she's just like, well, all right then, if you're going to be like that.
Oh, wow. Look, you killed your sister just to spite me. I love that line. Where in the movie, where she's just like, I cooked all this dinner for you. Maybe you should cook your own dinner. And they're like, okay. And they cook their own dinner. And she's like, you cooked your own dinner just to spite me. It's
what
like,
the fuck do you want? Yeah, it's like they even worked for it. They worked for they sold a kimono of their mother's that was like really traumatic, and then like they had to go buy some rice, got a good poundage of it, cooked it, and then the aunt's like,
oh, wow.
Wow. You followed my directions.
Look at you.
Yeah, you followed my directions. What a spiteful lad.
Shitheads. I just like, they were so weird. But that was the nail in the coffin. We're like, oh, this is the bad motivational character. All right, fine.
The only thing I thought was kind of unnecessary was like the aunt had a daughter, and like
That was weird.
She clearly liked Seda. She kept blushing
There was
every
something,
once
yeah,
in a
but
while.
that was weird. Why was that included?
But then like it didn't really
would
go
would have
anywhere.
been that would have been incest, I think.
I don't know, because
They'd be cousins, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think the concept of cousins back then was like a little more acceptable than it is now.
No. This is not
pretty sure.
fucking 1652.
No, like
This is goddamn.
no, like even like
It's like 1945.
but it's like even late 1800s, early 20th century, like that was still kind of an acceptable thing to do, to marry your cousin. But like now it's kind of not gleamed upon anymore.
I don't know, man.
So anyways, maybe they were trying the whole like forbidden love tactic there, but
it was all of one
point,
scene, really.
But the point is like it didn't go anywhere.
You only see her like 3 times in the movie.
Yeah, and she blushed in every single scene.
Yeah, but she didn't ever say anything. You don't even hear her voice. She's a non-verbal character.
You know
so
nothing about her besides she's shy and she
But
likes.
I don't. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm perfectly fine with introducing a character that doesn't do much, but
I was hoping she'd stand up to her mother, like
you can
how
tell
could you
she
say that
wanted
to him?
to.
Yeah, like.
But it was one of the and this is the reason why I thought it's an unnecessary addition. It didn't really serve to humanize anybody. It didn't serve to do anything. I don't know. The movie would have been exactly the same without her in it. Why was she included?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, this is
world building.
I haven't read the source material, so there's a chance that she is just mentioned there, and they wanted to bring her over as well. Still,
it's world building, Goose.
no, it's not. That's
It's
bullshit.
about world building.
Don't you talk about
It's a
world
family.
building.
They got a daughter.
Don't you talk
They
about
can-
world
they
building
have
to
a
me.
daughter if they want to.
Don't you talk
Morty.
about world building to me. You skank.
I'm about to build a world in a second in your face.
You whore.
What the hell just
I
happened?
feel like I've called you like a hoe, a skank, a whore. I've called you so many derogatory names that imply
being accurate
that
is
you
not a sin.
that you suck at a fat cock for money. I don't know why.
Suck at the full cook.
Suck at a fat cock.
The fat refund.
I suck at a fat cock.
The fat
Oh,
refund.
sounds like I admitted something just then. I didn't.
It's just a typical Friday morning for Goose. But Seita, there was something I wanted to say about him.
Oh yeah, it's right. you lost your train of thought like 5 minutes ago.
Well, I mean, this isn't what I wanted to say, but like I guess to add to the tragedy, it does kind of suck when because you see him reveling about he's talking to his sister about the war and like how to be a great soldier, like he starts singing like a soldier song and.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you can tell he really looks up to his dad, and then he finds out that he must be dead.
His dad's probably dead.
All the boats have been sunk, and
all my letters have not been answered.
Yeah, and like all of the war ended, and he's like looking at what really like was like, oh my god, like he started looking at the photo, and he's like, okay, and he's like walking back to his sister after finding out his dad's dead, and just like, all right, and then he's like walks back, and then she's dead, and it's just like, or at least like she's close to death,
Yeah.
and it's just like, Jesus Christ, this guy doesn't get a break.
Well, that touches on.
Oh, you know what? I remember what I wanted to say, but I'll let you finish.
That touches on something that bothered me immensely throughout this movie, which was the voice acting. Specifically,
I wasn't bothered too much
voice
because I've
acting
heard way worse in
of
anime.
Setsuko. I have never been more put off by a character's voice, and I am including some of the worst dubs I've seen, because those will take me out of it, but they don't make me physically recoil like the way that Setsuko's. And listen, I understand it's just me. I'm not saying
Yeah.
but when like Setsuko would cry in this movie, oh my fucking god, it was so unrealistic of a sound to me. It sounded nothing like all I could see was an actual like a human adult woman just like like just like crying into a microphone. That's all I could see. I couldn't get lost in that at all.
It sort of makes me wonder, like,
completely broke me out of it.
it makes me wonder what the sub would have been like. I wonder if they used a child in the sub.
Probably not.
I don't know.
They usually don't. It's usually a
Well, it's
person.
so weird because in almost all of the other Ghibli movies that have kids, they use child actors.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Usually, like when you have like a little boy or a little girl,
hell.
they're
like-
voiced by a one. Well, it's usually they're almost always voiced by women. But
Because, like for example, remember Markel, that orphan from the
Markle.
from
Yeah.
Howl's Moving Castle? He's that Bridge to Terabithia kid.
What?
Remember Bridge to Terabithia, the boy and the girl?
Yeah, I remember that movie. But I don't
guy.
know who the fuck the guy is.
I forget his name, but like,
Do you have that movie? Like,
remember? Okay,
did you like
Hunger
that
Games?
movie that much?
Hunger Games? Remember Hunger Games?
Yeah, the guy from Journey from the Center of the Earth.
The
Journey to the
Petra
Center of the Earth.
guy, Petra, his face, right? Let me see. But anyway, so yeah, like Totoro, it's Dakota Fanning and her sister.
It's that guy. It's Pete. No, wait, hang on.
Yeah, it's him. He was a kid at the time when.
Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah, he was a kid at the time when Howl was being recorded. So for the dub, so he was a child actor for Markle, and then like for Totoro, like I just said, like the two kids, Satsuki and Mei, they're voiced by Dakota Fanning and her sister, and they were
Really?
they were child actors, yeah.
All right.
Or like what else? What are some other child actors in movies?
Yep, House Moving Castle. Holy shit, he was in it. Oh, why? Why?
I don't know.
That guy bothers me.
And hell, like, what's his fucking Shia LaBeouf voices the guy in
Don't you dare.
in Nausicaa.
Don't. Oh.
Like
what? Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's the
I
prince.
was gonna say, don't you invoke?
And he, I mean, like,
don't you invoke Shia's name?
I mean,
in vain.
he wasn't really a kid at the time, but he was young. He was kind of a kid.
He
Like,
was still gross.
yeah. Like I found it so. I was telling you in the messenger, it was so funny because it's like he sounds so bland in the movie, but when you see him behind the scenes, he's like really contorting himself, like he's overacting, and it's just like, what? How does this even happen? How do you overact and then still sound bland?
Well, it's because it's Shia LaBeouf, man. He can't help it. You see, like now he just looks like a homeless guy now.
Yeah,
You- unlike because there was that whole
Well,
like,
after
we
that-
will not divide us.
yeah, that
shirt.
we will not, he
Oh,
will not divide
Yeah,
us.
he will not divide. My bad. Yeah,
And he
we will
started,
not
like-
divide us. That was actually a little.
He essentially like assaulted a man while saying that.
No, I don't. No,
Almost assaulted.
he just looked like he was sensually kissing his neck. Did you see what he was doing?
I saw what he was doing.
He looked
yeah.
like you know how a swan, like when you fuck with a swan, it does that thing where it like.
I do
and
it all the
like,
time. On,
Sticks his neck.
I do it all the time on Tuesday. I fuck with swans. Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with you? Don't do that.
You said, do you know if you do that to swans? Yeah, I do. Totally. I'm intimate with it.
Stop it!
Swan.
No!
pond.
No! Ew! Ew! No! No! No!
You are calling me a whore and now it's gross.
I'm a swan hoe.
I'm a swan hoe.
You
You know the fucking the swan in the lake with
swans
the princess?
are dicks, man. I don't know why you'd ever wanna.
They're powerful motherfuckers. Yeah, I know.
It's gross.
Yeah. And they poop really, really weird.
What the Stop! Why do you know this?
Haven't you ever been to a lake with swans? There's just poop everywhere.
I've never put the pieces together.
Well, when you go to Lena, the Russian store, there's a swan lake right behind it.
Okay, I guess. This is weird, man. You look like, the way you're describing this is like you sit in the bushes and you're just looking, peering through binoculars.
How else do you do it?
How else are you supposed to do it?
But so I remember what I wanted to say actually. So I found this interesting. It's a criticism. It's not confirmed, but there have been it's the relationship between Seita and Setsuko, where I mean there are very obvious brother sister moments, where they're whether they're kind of singing while piggybacking and just like in the rain or like having fun on the beach.
Yeah.
But then there was this very dark interpretation of their relationship where Seita uses Setsuko as either a motherly or sort of sexual figure.
What?
Well, cause like there's that moment where he's hugging her during like when they're sleeping, like trying to like gain some kind of comfort, and they think that like because he doesn't have a mother or any and he's like growing up to be this like adolescent, he's in this like it's like this really Freudian interpretation. Let me
They're
see.
building off of nothing. There was no symbolism to
But it's like,
suggest
but it's
that.
like he I guess he was using her as a figure to gain comfort because he's even though he's trying to be independent,
Well, that's
he's
his
not
only
real.
family that he
Yeah,
has
yeah.
left. I don't.
No, yeah, like,
What?
but it's like he's trying to be independent, and so it's like he, even though he's pretending to be adult-like, he's still a child, and so he needs to use someone as a figure to use as that role model, I guess.
I
I don't know.
guess, but like I just I disagree with the whole concept that that's a sexual
I'll
thing in
pull
any
I'll
way.
pull it was right off the wiki, which is weird, but it was what? Is there someone behind the door?
I don't know.
What do you want?
No,
Go away.
you're gonna have to bleep names. Can't have this sort of thing.
Who said that was her real name?
I did just then. By suggesting that you need to bleep it, and now I gave it away.
Her name is Titania. No.
Ew.
Clearly,
Sounds like the world's worst like
That's
Tumblr username.
Titania is like
Is
that's
that
like
a thing?
No, Titania. Well, I mean, it's an actual name, surprisingly.
No, it's
But
not.
yeah, Titania. I
Oh,
actually
bullshit.
I spent a day like because I wanted to name this like character for a RPG, and I was like, what are some good female names? And I passed by that name, Titania.
What was it under? Did you just look
Female
up like
names,
women female names?
Yeah, like female baby names that you can like Titania.
Bullshit. What?
No.
No.
No, but like there were like
no.
yeah, Titania.
No. Unless you can provide the evidence,
All right.
I will not believe you.
Well, first I want to do the Grave of the Fireflies,
you
and then
found
we'll look up.
Titania on a website for like female baby names.
Yeah.
That
I looked
implies
through,
that
like,
there
all the
are
names.
real people with that name.
Probably.
Oh my god, no. No.
Probably. Excuse me.
Don't you fucking one up my burps, I swear to God.
I can do as many as I want.
Yeah, I can. Well, I can too, but it just like I can like throw up in my mouth eventually. God damn it! Stop it! Stop it! You
Yeah,
sound
I
like
can
a,
just do it over and over
you
again.
just sound like a pig at that point. You just sound like you're oinking. Stop it! That didn't sound like a pig. It was the wrong animal.
A pig whore that goes to
Did you say
faps.
pig whore?
A pig whore who faps off swans. Is that the
Oh
imagery
my
we're
God.
getting off here?
Faps off? Does anybody say faps off? Is that a real thing?
Faps off, I guess. Faps.
I thought
Swan.
fap was its own
Fap
thing.
off. Fap off, you mother fapper.
Oh.
Maybe it was under themes and analysis. No. Let me see. Reception. It was under, like, the characters, but there's no characters section. What the fuck?
Actually, can we take an intermission for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
Round one. Defeat. Round two. Round 3. Victory! Round 4.
So right here, I want you to pay attention. I'm going to do a combo light, heavy, faint, light. Most people tend to parry the second hit because it's pretty easy to understand where your next move is going to go in a rhythmic combo, especially where the second hit is slower than the first hit. I'm doing this to both start the combo and then bait him in for a light attack. It's pretty simple. After the feint, I'm expecting him to do a heavy, which in his case he's attempting to parry me, and I'm throwing out a light to cancel out his heavy and thus give me a hit in edgewise. Watch what he does. He throws out one heavy, which catches me by surprise, but I guard it, and naturally I'm not fast enough to parry it, but then I'm ready for the second hit that's going to come by. Oh, what a surprise. It's another heavy. Now you're going to notice that right after the parry, I guard break the guy. And it's because after the parry, he ran out of stamina. But even if he didn't run out of stamina, I would have naturally guard broke him anyways. It's just, typically you get free guard breaks after a parry. Since he's out of stamina, you can kick the guy and he'll fall down to the ground. He doesn't have enough stamina to hold him up. And typically you can get 1 or 2 heavy hits, maybe even 1 light, 1 heavy hit off. But if you're going to do 2 heavies, the second heavy is probably going to get parried, so 1 heavy's safe. That's a natural thing to respond to. I don't know what he's saying thanks for, but it's unwarranted, and you'll be interested in the message that he sent over to me on Xbox.
Victory!
Telling me to get good. I read this guy like a book, you know, so I don't know what he wants from me, and I don't know how to get any better than that, other than fighting better players. Certainly, I could be doing better. I could be getting good in terms of fighting a better player. And I don't know what I was thinking, lowering myself to this guy's level. Actually, now the more that I think about it, I think this guy just didn't know that fainting existed. Because in his message, he mentioned something about glitching. And as far as I can tell, I mean, maybe it's different from both of our perspectives, but there wasn't a single glitch in the fight, and there wasn't really that much lag. There was a bit of time snapping, but like that's just to synchronize the players so that way they're fighting at the same rate of time. But I think he actually wasn't aware that you could feint in the game, or at least if he was aware, then he's confusing feinting for glitching. This is a stretch here, but I've noticed that he would get annoyed at the parts where I would always feint my heavy and then go into a light, and I think he probably interpreted that heavy feint as some kind of glitching when really it's just a valid mechanic in the game. And Let me explain something to you, Half Pock. Fainting is you just click B after you do a heavy attack. You can only do it after heavy attacks. In fact, that's why you have to kind of look at a heavy as always a facade, and you should always be worried about trying to parry a heavy, or at least try to feint it back, because most likely it's going to be feinted. That's just the typical shit that just happens in For Honor. So yeah, B is a feint. I'd like you to know that. It's the red button on your Xbox controller with the letter B in it. Just be aware of that. It's not glitching. It's a intended mechanic within the game. I'm not at fault. It just seems like you're at fault, and yeah. So red button, fainting, letter B, second letter in the alphabet. It's on the right side of the controller. Far right, in fact. I would even say it's one of the furthest. It's probably the furthest right button you can click. Don't click it at any time, only after a heavy. And to throw a heavy, you click right trigger, and then you click the red button. Typically, like halfway, if your move is really fast, do it at the beginning, maybe during when you're doing the heavy, kind of like the Centurion, you know. But yeah, right trigger, which is farthest right, little trigger thing in the back of your controller, and then you click the red button, B. It's pretty straightforward. But I know things that are pretty straightforward are, hard for you to traverse. Not everyone can move in a straight line. I can see. So yeah.
We're back.
I was just fapping off the swans.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. There's nothing quite like some good old avian fappery. It's
Just
always
aggressive,
beautiful.
serene. You can just duck behind a bush, and everybody will know you're there. But
It's okay.
You can
It's
try.
symbolic.
It's-
The bush is symbolic. It's not.
yeah, because we're not
not
beating
important.
around the bush; we're beating in the
We're
bush.
beating in the bush.
So I found the piece that I was looking for.
Oh, you did? Cool.
It's actually from the author himself. It's not just some random
That
critic.
piece of ass.
So he said, this is for Setsuko's character. Nosaka said that Setsuko also has to grow up quickly, and she takes the role of Seita's mother, and at other times the role of his lover, quotations.
Excuse me?
Setsuko acts as Seita's spiritual support, while Setsuko relies on Seita for nourishment. Nosaka said that in the end, it turns out the days leading up to their death are like the development of a love story. Nosaka said that the death of his sister was an exact match with the novel. So I guess more in the spiritual sense. The only thing
Well,
that keeps
yeah, I
Seita...
figured there wasn't some like behind the scenes. Yeah, they're actually fucking though.
Well, no,
But,
I didn't.
like-
No, yeah, I didn't think it was like that. But I think he means like spiritually, because what's Seita? The only thing keeping him going is his sister. Like that's the only reason why he would want to live. I mean, granted, he thinks his dad's alive too, but with the way things are going, his sister is like a definitive person to rely on. As I guess as a person of support, someone he can cherish.
I guess, yeah. I mean, well, okay, so like I see that, but okay, so it's. I agree with the mother thing, because you see that Seita, as Setsuko is sort of dying, you see that Setsuko comforts him a lot.
Yeah.
Like she does take that role. I don't agree that that it follows like a love story thing. I don't really see it because in my opinion, the idea of like the love story arc is so generic it can be applied to a lot of things. So I don't think that's like super specific to them. I think it's just a story arc in general. Like it's just sort of like it's building an attachment between the two characters that's not romantic.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the love story a love story, is that there's a romantic arc there. Because otherwise it's just two characters that are growing closer.
Yeah.
I don't really think that's Whatever.
I don't think it was. I don't.
If it's
yeah.
what the author says, then I guess it has some kind of legitimacy. But like,
I don't
didn't get it.
I don't think it was depicted well. Maybe it was better in the short story because this is from the short story directly. So this is just the adaptation of the short story. So
Well,
maybe the movie didn't present that well.
Maybe, but I
like-
mean the Nausicaa kind of gave like his sort of approval. Like, yep, this is a faithful adaptation of my story. So
I guess,
like, I don't really know if there was something missing that he thought was integral. I think he would have an objection to it, but whatever. I don't fucking know.
Also, interesting thing. I found it interesting because when his mother died, Sada's mother, well, their mother, when she died, he didn't cry. In fact, the first thing he did was, well, he lied to Setsuko to not worry her, but he also decided to kind of distract her by having fun on the bar by spinning around
That was
eternally.
weird.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a goofy scene. That wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to make you laugh, but it made me laugh.
No, yeah, because like he just wouldn't stop spinning.
I know,
around
and she
it. Yeah,
wasn't looking even, so it wasn't
Yeah.
for her. It was just like, yo, I'm gonna do some spinnies.
Maybe that was like his way of both distracting her, but then like distracting himself from what was happening.
Probably. I
Like
think-
some kind of like subtle insanity, kind of.
Maybe.
But
Well, because he's not. I mean, it's a while before he actually has a cry about
no,
it.
yeah, like it's like after he gets the shit beaten out of him by that farmer, and then that sold the one nice guy in the movie,
I
the
was
police
I have
officer.
to say,
Yeah,
because didn't we? I think we paused it around then, and we're like, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God there was one
Yeah.
decent human being. In
Yeah,
the story.
it's like the one police guy is like, well, I could report this as assault, as he like draws his sword,
yeah,
and the
he
farmer's
starts
like,
pulling the saber out, and
then
he's like, oh fuck.
the farmer's like, fuck, I don't have my pitchfork, I gotta run.
Well, that was the. I was because it wasn't just decency, but it was something that made sense.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of things in this story were unrealistically terrible. So
Yeah.
like a lot of like the sort of conflict is like, oh well, like the aunt where it's like, oh well, fuck you. I don't care that you're alone in the world now. Fuck you. And it was unrealistically like, oh, come on. And I feel like that was the one thing where you see like he gets the shit beaten out of him, and somebody's like, dude, you can't just beat the shit out of a kid. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so thankful. Like, thank God there's one thing that makes sense. Because otherwise, I don't know what I would do. Like, if there was... Because the other thing is, like, it would have been really easy for them to just take it further down and say, like have the police officer or whatever the fuck he was supposed to be. I think
no,
he was
he was a local police officer of the
He
time.
looked like a soldier.
Well, because that box, they call it like a konban, which is literally like, it means night, but like they're kind of a night patrol kind of
okay.
thing. So like, I could be wrong, but that's what I heard from my Japanese teacher, so fuck off.
Oh,
Alright.
that's what I heard in my weeaboo class.
It was a legitimate.
My class in weeabology. But but it would have been, my point is, like, it would have been really easy for them to say, like, oh, and then more bad things happened, and it would have felt cheesy and like, oh, come on.
And
Nobody would do that. And I'm glad that they actually sort of took a respite from that and had one dude who was like, yo,
Yeah,
you just beat the ever-living shit out of a child.
And then like right after
And then
that,
dragged him here.
Yeah.
Like, you thought I would see you as the good guy. Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here. What are you doing?
yeah, and then like
Wasn't that amusing too? Like, the guy brings him to the cops like, I know you're bloodied and bruised, but you stole a tomato, you fuck. like they were gonna
Yeah.
for a second even say like, oh, clearly this kid needs to be Auschwitz.
I also love how like the kid like Seita, he's like, listen, I'm trying to feed my sister, please don't hurt me, and he gets away. He finally gets to the hut. The farmer follows him all the way to the hut. Setsuko gets out, and before he even gets there, the farmer's like, oh yeah, right, the same old story, oh whatever, fuck you, it's not the...
Oh yeah, and
you're
the
lying."
sister's there.
And the sister's there, she's like she's crying,
Yeah.
and he's like, and then finally like he's being proven wrong, that like, no, he has a sister he has to take care of, have some sympathy. I found it interesting that like all the farmers were like very like they clearly had more food than they needed. Like remember remember that one farmer who's just like, I'm sorry, I don't have
I
enough.
don't have any rice to sell. I'm just full.
just,
There's
like,
no rice
gorging.
for.
Yeah. He's just gorging on rice.
What would have made
or
it
whatever.
better is if he was like fatter.
Yeah.
They made him fatter. It's like, oops. Sorry, as you can tell, I'm all skin and bones over here.
Well, literally, come on. It's like...
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, and then they walked off like, all right, don't worry. I think we have a... Like, Sata was like really passive aggressive too. He's like, I think we have another way to solve our problem, as if to like make the farmer like, well, good. Like feel like really self conscious about his crops. It's like
No, don't worry. Your crops are inferior crops. You fuck.
But like, so I found it interesting that the farmer who was chasing Sata was not sympathetic. Like even after Sata was telling the truth, he's like, "Fuck you! You stole a single fucking like wheat." It's like,
Well, it's
And,
implied
like-
that he was repeatedly stealing from the guy.
but like the guy had so much. He had so much.
Okay, so
Yes, it's
Let
a,
me-
it's
I'm
a
gonna
very
play-
it's a dingy wartime where everything's burning and shit.
I'm
but
going
that
to
guy
play
was
devil's
loaded.
advocate.
He was
because
loaded, man.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because that's fun. And so, when you are in wartime like that, farmers have to. They don't just get to keep their crop. It's
Yeah.
taken from them by government to ration out to food.
All right. But they're kids.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Like, I'm not trying to say like the guy wasn't a fucking cunt, but he did have a reason. It wasn't just like
that was my favorite tomato.
Shit
That was my favorite tomato, you bastard.
But like it's,
The kid's clearly like
he's a kid, yeah.
he's like 14.
And like all he
15
would have had
maybe.
to
He's
do
like,
was just grab the kid
yeah,
and just be like, "Come on, we got to go to the police."
yeah, right.
And then he would have immediately not been the
but
bad
like
guy.
he took out all of his aggression, like
and
on
in
this
front of like
yeah,
the
yeah.
3-year-old
The-
kid.
Yeah,
that
like,
was what
like
was
this
like, holy
this like
shit.
14, 15-year-old guy. He's just getting.
I don't think he's that old.
No, he's a ninth grader, so it's like 14, 15.
Really? Is that what they say?
Yeah, because
I assumed he was like 11.
Esau said he's a very like unique ninth grader, quote for quote. So, wow, this is some smelly jerky.
Well, because it's from the Swans.
'Cause it's from
It's from the Swans.
You're gonna make some
when you're
pussy
jerking-
joke.
I could have easily. Why didn't I? I could have totally went the route about the Vagoo.
The Vagoo.
Could have.
Yeah, I really should just set it like here.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know. I don't know what you're doing. Why are you fiddling with it?
But one more thing. I was actually thinking about it when you were out. It's okay. So at the beginning, the I don't know. I guess the train cleanup crew, they come in. They're like, he's dead. They don't even check his pulse. Like you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah, I love that. I love in the beginning. So they show like Seta, and he's like slumped up against a pillar, and there's like 80 million other Japanese kids who are dead apparently. Because there's like they show him, and he's not. The whole point is that he's not unique. There's a lot of people. I think the whole point of that was to say like Seta isn't unique, and neither is his story.
Yeah.
Like there are lots of people who went through very similar iterations of this, which I thought was powerful. I actually liked that. But the fucking whole thing with the goddamn security guard being like, you want to check his pulse there, chief? You want to you want to do anything?
But then later on,
Jesus.
like.
And then you're just gonna. It's implied that they just sit there, like,
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
But then-
like they just leave them there to rot. Like,
But then,
what is this? Is this a train station? Is that what it was?
It looked like it.
It looked like it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. And like they didn't say where it was.
I think they said they dragged the bodies on later, but they were just trying to clean up.
I just don't. The other thing is that something that I didn't really.
Yeah.
How did Seta get there? Where was it? They don't explain.
I think it's just he went through a loop of depression, stopped eating, maybe as self punishment, or just naturally because of depression he just stopped eating, and he kind of died of malnutrition because it looked like he just it didn't look like he died like he didn't look like he was killed, not by circumstances of war. The war ended, so there's no more destruction clearly indicated at the end, and like I think he just died of depression and starved and just
I guess I don't like that.
yeah.
I don't know.
But I found it interesting
It's a
because like
lazy. And see, the thing that
Yeah.
I don't like is that the whole notion that he
but
died.
he's like a kid,
of a
so like
broken
obviously
heart.
like he's not gonna think so complexly through this.
No,
but, like,
well, it's not about thinking complexly. It's
It's
about
like-
how they wrote the story. So, like, nobody has that. Nobody just, oh, well, I guess I'm going to starve to death. And I'll just lay daintily here while I starve to death. Nobody has that. Yeah, everyone has instincts. People will fight for food.
yeah.
That's not how this is. Like,
But maybe
that
that was to kind of evoke like how much he cared for his sister.
I
and,
guess.
Like,
I just don't-
And he kind of beat the crowd of his instincts. He just let it go. I don't know. But
Why do riot police show up early to work?
why?
To beat the crowd. When you said beat the crowd, I'm like, I got a joke for that.
Oh my god. So actually, but it's funny like that the way the cleanup crew, they're like, oh, you can see it in their eyes. It was funny at first. I mean, that's supposed to be it was supposed to make their work look casual and grim, like they've seen this many times. They're so good at their job, they don't need to check their pulse. But later on, I found it interesting how like the sister, she started to kind of have these symptoms within her eyes, and
Yeah.
like that really kind of
Yeah, her eyes
brought
really
the
do
dread.
look dead.
yeah
That was something that at least they enforced that motif.
yeah.
So that became something that was at least repeated. So I can't shit on it. I just thought it was goofy.
No, I thought it was yeah, same. But like
At least they used it. It was something that they brought back.
And I guess the last thing to touch upon,
Pony.
actually maybe the last two things. Ponyo. But the last two things to touch upon. One, the unique ninth grader thing, where there was the passage where I read before in the last podcast where Esau kind of wanted to eliminate this image that like all the people of back then were these like super strong, head forth like.
Well, that's right.
Like
we actually did, okay.
and and he wanted to depict the characters as like as just as kind of
Kids.
lost and as we
Yeah.
are, and like and I think that did come across. Like we did, it seemed, even though they were being bombed every once in a while, like it was interesting to see that life kind of kept going on at a normal pace, and they had fears
and
just
that
like we did.
people are still
and-
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
like-
something that they definitely, if that's what they sought out to do, they were definitely successful. But I just think it's funny that I totally forgot the last one of these we recorded. We actually had some pre-movie thoughts.
Yeah,
Don't you remember? With like, our first one was like, "Oh, do you have any thoughts about Nausicaa?" And it's like,
And then that
"No."
was the podcast. Yeah.
And just like, yeah, we just talked about Hal's Moving Castle. I don't know, it's just weird. I totally forgot last one. I think it was awake and asleep for the last podcast. I don't remember it. I remember anything I said. I have no
I'll
idea.
post it because I have it done pretty much. Because I was thinking like whether or
This
not
is a nice. You get a little behind the scenes.
I was wondering if I should do. I was wondering if I wanted to do a skit for like an intro for just like I almost you know what I almost kind of want to do, like I want to almost have like a little story that happens like during the podcast, like the podcast is almost is it's inconsequential to whatever's happening in the plot, but it's just like I don't know, like we're like running from like mafia or like tax collectors or something.
What? No.
Or just like we have to do a podcast
This is
for
not-
some like
Oh.
weird like
So like
colossal
we
reason.
owe a debt to the Russian mafia, and then we have to like
Or
somehow-
no, like- or-
we're
or, like-
the debt can only be repaid with podcast.
Or it's like we've torrented too many Ghibli movies, so now we're like enslaved to like do reviews on Ghibli for Ghibli. It's like
You're right. Yeah, I mean
I don't know.
we get so many clicks, so many clicks on these. We just
10 views.
what?
That's
You
a
can
whole,
get those?
That's a whole couple families.
That's like double who saw Princess Mononoke. We gotta get a hold of these guys.
That was more than the
We need their
box
marketing team.
How do they get this? That's like a higher box
kinda
office than the movie.
That's so stupid. Anyway,
But like I don't know. I was considering that, but the last thing. So yeah, so he eliminate the kind of like the strong-headed vibe from the past, and there was one more thing, but it's not. I guess I kind of enjoyed the way they took the time to animate the very little things, like the way Seita kind of like enjoyed like kind of showering in the water from that like broken pipe.
yeah.
Or like, like collecting the rice desperately, or even like I should probably put my phone off.
Yeah, God, so unprofessional. So unprofessional.
And
Here we sit in our Hollywood studio with
this Ghibli authorized room that we're being
this
blackmailed
licensed
to.
entertainment.
God, there's a pool right across from us. There's a pool table in the pool. There's fucking
There's a smaller pool inside the larger pool. And inside that smaller pool, we have a pool table.
There's a pool of sins in the corner.
Pool of sins? Is it just like a pool of just like slippery like Vagoo juice? What is that?
It's just like the black ooze from like Howl's Moving Castle, just like that, or Princess
like fucking-
Mononoke. They're just the worm.
It's like the dark eco from
It's just-
fucking Jack and Daxter.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of peeping worms just in the
Ew!
corner.
Oh, that's so disgusting. Oh, that's like one step away from tentacle porn. That's like just
But they're
one
tentacling themselves.
one leap of faith away from that. Jesus Christ. This is just a glimpse into our lives.
But that the usual.
I don't even remember how this started.
The
This tangent that we went on.
Oh
yeah, because your phone rang and I was like so unprofessional. Anyway, that's how we got here.
yeah.
Just a recap
I,
in case you don't remember the last 30 seconds.
I
like me.
clearly sound like I'm gonna retire in a year. Like clearly, like I'm so experienced at this point.
At this point, I can just rest on my laurels. I've done so much
I could rest on my laurels.
for the community.
I've provided so much. Why doesn't anybody give back?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you know that I cured AIDS?
Did you aid the AIDS
I
cause?
aid the AIDS cause.
Cause.
That is what it sounded like.
Subliminal messages.
It's a Freudian slip.
See,
You know where to find
see,
me.
we're so genius it slips out.
Do you remember? Did you watch SpongeBob as a kid?
Yeah.
Don't you remember like when fucking SpongeBob would be like, Patrick, your genius is showing, and he'd be like, oh God, where? And I was like, it's a joke because he's saying his dick is out, basically. That's a very real concern.
That's good.
Anyway,
Having your genius out is kind of like having your dick out. It's
a
like,
little bit.
Geez,
It's
stop
like,
posturing
stop
yourself.
looking at me.
Stop,
Like, don't touch it.
Stop posturing
Don't.
yourself, Morty.
What?
Marty, why you posturing, you genius? Why you doing that?
Have you ever seen Rick and Morty?
No. I'm just thinking like a typical like Jewish husband.
Oh, just a Jewish, like, because, you
Yeah,
know,
just
half
like-
of all Jewish men are named Morty.
Morty. You know what's funny? Like my grandpa's name is Morty, but he's not Jewish at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Your grandpa's name is Morty.
Well, his real name is Weldon, but my
Excuse me?
but my grandmother calls him Morty
How do you
because
get
his name's
Morty?
Mort. I don't know.
Mortimer?
I don't know where it comes from. It's like how my friend Matt Martorelli, when we used to go to Taekwondo, they used to call him Mortimer, even though his name's Matthew. I don't know.
You're going to have to bleep so many names here.
People in those names. People in their names. Is there a last thing I wanted to touch upon? I swear, there's like a little detail I'm missing here. Oh well, I mean, I think we kind of skimmied around this topic because we were talking about the farmers.
Okay.
But like when he finally cries about his mother, like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Like he's finally, like, after all that independency, after all that kind of pride, like he finally breaks down because he's a child.
Yeah, well,
And-
that's
and-
something
and-
that I was waiting.
And then his
for.
sister actually comes up and like hugs him,
Yeah.
even with all of her pain, that is a very motherly moment. I mean, it's like a very normal sister thing to do, but like there is something kind of like maternal about that. And then he like bends down and hugs her almost to apologize, and like, but at the same time, kind of gain comfort. And that was I think that was one of the stronger moments. But yeah, that's all I wanted to. Just wanted to remember. I can't help like. I think general consensus to kind of wrap up here. It is a good movie. I feel like it's one of those movies I'd appreciate more as I grew up later in life. I feel like I'm still kind of at that stage where I'm still kind of conceited, but maybe if I were to have a family of my own, or like if I were to kind of I don't know, develop these
Any kind of
I don't know,
meaningful relationship.
that or like or even just
If I
like
were to
being able
stop
to
jerking off the swans,
or even be or even be able to like develop any like critical narrative like skills. Like I feel like maybe I might appreciate it, because when you watch the movie, it feels like you can sense that it was adapted from a short story or a story in general. Like there's a difference between like movies that are just like
Yeah.
for the cinema versus like these kind of like novel like films that are
yeah, because
trying
they're
to-
structured differently.
yeah.
And I think that yeah, I can be on board with that. I have to, again, like I have to say, the movie, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie, but it just didn't. It wasn't fully there for me, you know. And I find like I'm not trying to be like the.
I'm not trying to be a contrarian when I
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
where it's like, oh, everybody thinks it's good. It's like I really wanted to like this movie, and I think to some extent I do like the movie, but it's like I don't love it. I don't share this like. I don't share this like nuance that everyone seems to see within it.
Yeah, that's
It's
something that I have too, where it's like I like parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I like that, I love the sound design. I think it's great. I love the art direction. It's awesome. I love the animation because it's Ghibli. It's amazing. But like, I don't like a lot of aspects of the story. I think it sort of it leans too heavily on its sort of its weird motivational characters. That's probably the wrong term, but I don't care.
Yeah.
So it leans too heavily on certain characters to push the plot forward. And it's something that I can't ignore, and it's something that I just kind of think like, it's a little bit weak, but at the same time, it's definitely not a bad movie. It's just something I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of it. That's not to, that's not to, I feel like I can't say it enough because it's true. It's not a bad movie. It's just something I wasn't that into.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think it just comes down to a personal taste.
Exactly.
Yeah, So we were gonna originally decide to watch Totoro, but then we changed. Well, I changed my mind, and Goose kind of agreed, and I chose Castle in the Sky, because technically in order it should have been Nausicaa, Laputa, and then Grave of the Fireflies with Totoro at the same time. But but I sort of thought Totoro was like such a, I don't know, broad and like whatever kind of movie. So like
such a meaningless piece of shit.
it's like it's a fun movie, but it's just so I don't know. It's like it's more for the enchantment of the world rather than just like saying anything. And I feel like Castle in the Sky is one of, like, I've seen this movie 7 trillion times. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. I've seen this since childhood. Like, I grew up with this movie. But and I can't help but see this movie as one of the better structured movies, and I'm thinking like maybe I'll watch it this time looking at it in a critical view rather than leisure.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, which is very crystal clear, I know it's one of the stronger found-aid movies, and I know that that it has very good characters. No one's useless as a character in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think it has a stronger naturalist message than Nausicaa has. I feel like Castle in the Sky is what Nausicaa wanted to be, but it just didn't do it.
Yeah, I feel like well, okay, because like we've both seen it, so this is one of those.
You've seen it once, right?
I've seen it once,
Yeah.
but I remember a lot of the themes of it,
Yeah.
and I think part of the reason that the naturalist message rings so much heavier in Castle in the Sky and is much more like I appreciate it more in that movie is because it's told from the perspective of two very likable characters.
And they're not like I mean they're pacifistic, but they're not to the extent where they're not gonna like
Yeah, the thing
act
that I
against
didn't
evil,
like
you
about
know, like-
Nausicaa was that it was
Yeah.
she had the capacity to fight. She was shown to be a very skilled warrior,
Yeah.
just someone who chose not to. And it's like I get it, but fuck you a little bit
Yeah.
because it just makes you unrelatable. It's told from
And
really,
she's a princess, and these guys are like I mean she's technically a princess, like Sheeta is a princess, but it's like she's like this ancient princess. She's not like this currently established.
Yeah, she's
princess.
not
She's just an ordinary girl they picked off of a farm, and Patsu is just he's a village dude. He just works in a fucking mine, like
Patsu.
yeah. And yet their roles become significant,
Yeah.
like later on, and like that's what.
But I feel the naturalist message is much more. It is much more. It's way easier to appreciate because I like the world of Laputa way better.
yeah.
Nausicaa was cool. It had that awesome like sci-fi post-apocalyptic shit that I love.
Yeah.
But Laputa had this like really like the
There's like an archaic, mystical, like
when
forbidden.
I just like I
forbidden-
love the
forbidding
designs
kind
of
thing.
the like the castle, but also like the machinery and everything.
Yeah.
Everything about it was so cool. Everything had this like rustic look to it. It was so awesome. And it like the
Yeah.
appreciation for nature wasn't just in the message of the movie like I feel was the case with Nausicaa. It was also just every part of it saying how nature it just had this vibe of nature is, you know, reclaiming these things that weren't a part of it before and just like making it gorgeous. I just love the world so much better.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm articulating it that well, but whatever. We're gonna fucking
Yeah,
watch
and, like,
it
and-
and
and
you're
s-
gonna know all about it.
Also,
and,
yeah.
it's gonna be sexy.
Two things about Castle in the Sky. One, I always find it annoying because I read on the back of the box they spell Patsu's name with a ZU instead of TSU.
Oh, really?
That annoys the fuck out of me because, like, in Japanese, when you have... Because, I mean, if we were to read... Like, if we were to pretend that's Romaji, like, if you read that in Japanese, that would be Pazu, not Patsu. Like,
Well, that's how you're supposed to pronounce the Z, though.
But we that's how we here pronounce it, and like we could see the Z as if it's a like pizza, you know, patsu, but it's like in there it's like pazu. But if they wanted to make a tsu sound, they use the symbol
TS,
tsu,
yeah.
and we would use that in Romaji as TSU.
what
And
is
it's like
Romaji?
it's like you take Latin letters from the alphabet, like you
Okay.
take alphabetical letters to represent the sounds of the Japanese symbols.
Oh, is that what that
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know there was a formal name for that. But
Yeah,
okay.
it's just like if people can't read the symbols, here's the English syllable pronunciation. Like,
All right.
but like,
So it's like phonetically spelling Japanese words, basically.
yeah.
All right, cool.
So like, but like that's what always annoyed me, where it's like they say his name Patsu, but clearly, but then like when you listen to the sub, they say Pazu, and I don't know, that to me that like I'm so used to him being called Patsu, I can't help but see the symbol tsu, but they spell it with a Z, and it's just it literally
Okay.
it contributes nothing, but it's just a personal
Your
problem.
weeabolic rage
And then, like-
right now
And then
is super hard.
yeah, but then I guess what was there a second thing? I guess like the robots. Apparently they were based on some kind of like in Superman, I think there were these robots that were like robbing a bank, and the designs were very Hayao was very inspired by the designs of those robots, so he
Was it the
implemented them.
Superman animated show
It's the-
from like the 50s?
I
that
think-
was super
yeah.
well done.
Yeah. I think like there were these robots that flew with wings, and they like kind of retracted, and he liked that design, so he decided to kind of, I guess, use a very similar, if not the same, design in this movie.
All right.
So I just thought that was interesting. He seems to be very appreciative of many American animations, even though he dislikes Disney. So it's interesting. It's just interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Let's just get into this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sorry. Last thing.
fuck.
Apparently, Laputa is based off of Gulliver's Travels.
Really?
A little bit, like not the story. I just mean like the city, Laputa.
Oh.
Because there's a place in Gulliver's Travels literally called Laputa. It is Laputa and is a floating,
Really?
like city.
Oh, I thought
country.
I thought
kinda.
Gulliver's Travels was about the Lilliputians.
Well, yeah, like he's a big guy, like,
Yeah.
and they're very small, and he's like
a
traveling
big
around.
boy.
But like on the map that's displayed, like there's a place called Laputa that just floats in the sky. I haven't read it myself, but that was interesting. Anyway, so let's watch it.
Yep. And
That's pretty high up there. How do we get to that castle in the sky?
we're gonna need a.
We can't exactly watch ourselves up there.
We're gonna have to climb my penis.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get a swan. Maybe we can.
A swan. Maybe we'll fly.
Maybe I can bribe them up there. I mean,
bribe them with enough swan jobs.
or maybe Ghibli. We can convince Ghibli to like get us some kind of like, I don't know.
They could use
plateau.
all their Ghibli money to get us a helicopter and a helipad and everything required to operate a helicopter.
They can just use their box office money for us to stand on top of. It's probably tall
They're clearly not doing anything with it. Did Ponyo look like they did anything with that money? I don't think so.
More like got pwned, yo.
So please stop. Jesus Christ. That's a great way to end this episode. We'll see you next week, boys and girls.
Or at least what you think is a week.
Because
the dreadful truth is that the Howl's Moving Castle and Nazca were 2 weeks in between. So, I bet that was damaging.
That was damaging to your whole reality. Everything fell apart.
Did it look like Setsuko died in front of your eyes?
It did. She did. She died in front of my wiener.